Very exciting fight. Very exciting fight. I give him credit. That was a very exciting fight.
Yeah, for
You
real.
had two guys
Absolutely.
right there in the eye of the tiger, and they was punching.
Yeah, right in the eye of the tiger, for real. They was. Go ahead, Beats.
Who are we talking about?
We're talking about
Marco Huck.
Christoph and Hook.
Oh yeah. Exciting. It was exciting. Definitely
Yeah,
like
yeah.
the.
Beats. We're gonna be live on YouTube in a bit, on the chat in a bit. So, but you can carry on though, innit? Go on,
Okay.
go. Yeah, go on, carry on. Just chatting.
Yeah, it was an exciting fight, man. Like the guy was catching my guys. He kept pulling out in straight lines, isn't it? So he's getting caught. He's getting, like
Yeah.
Yeah, but see, that's the value. I never understood boxers uh, per se. I never understood them. They'll spend thousands of dollars on a home, on a makeup artist, on an advisors, cars, and what have you. But they won't invest in having solid trainers around them. Marco Huck started that fight out getting hit with straight left hands to the body.
yep,
At the very first round, he was getting hit with straight left hands to the body,
Mm.
yeah,
which is a no-no. I would have told my fighter right from the beginning, you need to stop this guy from hitting you with that straight left hand in your body.
yeah,
Because what's going to happen is it's going to sap you of your energy over 5 or 6 rounds. It's going to sap you. So I
yeah,
want you to do either get out the way of the left hand or either counter punch the left hand. But you can't take that left hand all night.
Yeah.
Now I'm not saying that Huck's corner didn't tell him that, but either he didn't understand what they were saying, or he just refused to listen because he kept getting hit with the same punch over and over and over again.
Yeah, he.
And I saw him pulling out all night long with his hands down.
yes. That's what I saw. That's what I saw. And
And I mean,
yeah,
I'm early on. I mean, very early on, he was pulling out of exchanges, but he was pulling out with his chin in the air, with his hands down, and that was far back as far I could
first round,
go back as
first
far
round,
back. First, second round, he was
yeah,
doing that.
first round. Because when I saw the fight, that's what I saw. I said he's gonna get himself in trouble. The way he kept doing that, and it's something he's got away with quite a lot. But sometimes, some people just study you, and it only takes one to get it right, and next thing you're on the canvas and title's gone.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
He was doing that continuously throughout the night, pulling out with his hands down, with his chin in the air.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How long was it going to be before he got caught?
Mm-hmm.
And because of the fatigue factor, they both was very tired. They were both very tired, and we don't know what those guys did to make that weight.
Mm.
Both of them came under, I think, 2 pounds under the weight,
Mm.
which is not a good idea. I try to bring my guy in right at weight. Right at weight. I don't want the guy 1 pound under, 2 pounds under, 3 pounds under, a quarter pound. I want to bring him in right at the weight. And immediately after they get up the scales, I want them to slowly start building their strength back up. Not go out and eat the whole buffet, but slowly start building their strength back up.
Yeah. But after you've depleted yourself, the temptation to eat it's quite hard for the boxers, I guess, after all that sacrifice.
Nah, if you got the right people around you, and if the boxer lives clean, it won't be such a big thing to eat. It's just like the Muslims in Ramadan. That you won't find experienced Muslims gorging themselves when darkness comes. You won't find that.
Oh shit.
You won't find them gorging themselves. They'll eat patiently
This is shit.
and they'll eat minimally. They'll eat minimal meals. They won't eat gorge. So wise boxers knows that gorging themselves after a weigh-in is not going to help them gain strength because it'll at least take them 17, 18 hours for that food that they're eating to turn into energy.
Mm.
So a wise boxer is not going to go and gorge himself after the weigh-in. It'll be a gradual process, a gradual build up to the energy factor after the weigh-in.
Yeah.
You know, you have a little something, and then you eat something else 2 or 3 hours from then maybe later on that night you're going to have another snack. You don't want to eat a whole lot of food together.
Mm.
You know, where you just got a stomach full of food.
Is pasta?
It's not going to help the boxer.
Is pasta one of the better foods to eat after the weigh-in?
What?
Pasta, is that good after the weigh-in to eat?
People say it's good. People say it's good. They say that there's a lot of energy in pasta, you know.
Okay.
I don't try to be any more than what I am. You know, you bring in a nutritionist, and the nutritionist, somebody has expertise in that. That's the guy you need to talk to. You know, I try to do what I do. I try to focus on training the boxer, the etiquette of the sport,
Hmm.
how to deliver punches, how to defend against punches. I don't want to be multi-man, you know, where I know about the food, where I know about the weight, where I know about this and that. I want to be the trainer.
Mr. Bashir,
You
I
understand? I
need to
don't.
ask you something, yeah? You see Berman Stavern, he keeps, like, since he's lost to Wilder, he keeps bringing up how he just found out almost that he's supposed to drink water, and he was the WBC heavyweight champion. I kind of find that astounding that he didn't know he was supposed to drink at least a certain quota of water daily. How do
I
you...
don't. I don't. I don't. I don't find that astounding at all because of the people that the sport has been infiltrated by. You have a lot of people out there who's faking the funk, as I call it. Everybody wants to be the grand hoopah. Everybody wants to be, you know, the know-it-all guy. You know, everybody wants to know. And then when you look at their work, when you look at the work that they're doing, why is it? How could it be that he didn't know that? Well, the bright minds will say, well, who's the people around him? The people around him should have made him aware of that. But if he went on record for saying that, then why did he say it?
Good question.
You know, these are the questions that make. These are the questions that the inquiring mind would want to know.
Yep. I mean, he was
You know,
speaking like he only knew that water was a vital part of his diet as a I mean, just look, I'm not an athlete. I know you're supposed to drink at least 1 liter or maybe 2. I don't know what the quota is a day. And if he doesn't know that as the heavyweight champion, or his team didn't know that and wasn't monitoring that,
as a young child in school, grade school, one of the first things in my memory bank was H2O.
yep,
That's the chemical term for water.
right,
H2O equals the source of life. All life is centered around water.
yep,
All right? The source of life, that's what it said in school. H2O was the source of life. All life needs it to exist. You know, so you got to ask yourself about these guys. These guys claim to be this, claim to be that, claim to be this, claim to be that. Then why didn't he know that?
that's what's
You know,
puzzling
why
me.
didn't he know that?
What freaks me out is he's peddling it out there like it's an excuse. If it was me, I think I would have hid it. I would have felt ashamed to come out and say I didn't know I was supposed to drink water and I don't know. I would have
I'd
hid
be
it.
ashamed to be the trainer. I'd be ashamed to be the trainer.
Hey, you guys, yeah, I'm just about to start live. Let me just start our live and then we can go, and then you can just go in, yeah? Carry on what you're doing. All right. 1, 3, 2, come on. Let's go. 1 minute, guys. All right, we're live. EJ Boxing live here with Boxing Beast and Rams, Chris Caban, and Mr. Ali Bashir to give his take on the weekend's fight, the PVC card, Marco Hook, and also he's charged Alexander Usyk. Number 1 contender. We just found out from Mr. Bashir today that he'll be challenging. What's the goose name? What's that guy who beat Huck? What's his name again? Christoph. Man, his house. Kawaki. There you go. All right. So we've been talking obviously previously. Mr. Bashir, I want to ask you real quick. The trainer of Hook, Marco Hook, was that his normal trainer? And how come he didn't make adjustments in the corner in terms of when Christoph.
Well,
Go ahead.
I believe that's this is his American trainer,
Don Hauser.
Don House is
Yeah,
his
who's
American
yeah?
trainer,
Go ahead.
and I believe that's the first time they worked together.
Yeah, why is that? How can he come to America and who was his trainer before, and why would you leave his trainer before? But go ahead, Mr. Bashir.
Well, I think there was some kind of breakdown in communications with the promotional team in Europe, and he decided to come to America to start practicing his trade.
Mm-hmm.
And Don House is the guy that he chose to train him.
Crazy.
I don't know how long they had been together, what the degree or nature of their relationship as trainer boxer, whether they could actually comprehend each other very well. But there were many things that I saw, that I observed, that should have been corrected from the first or second round.
Well, I'm gonna give you a stat, Mr. Shea. Don Hauser was the same guy in Bavern's Bavern's corner, what Beast was just talking about, in the corner as well. It's like they come to America, and when I saw Don Hauser, who's an MMA guy, he basically does MMA fights in the corner, not really the head trainer, but he helps out an MMA fight. When I saw him in the corner, I said Hook ain't got a chance, because it seemed like Hook was just fighting by himself. There was no technical advice in the corner. It's the same thing with Bavern Sylvain, where they were trying to say Bavern needs to have water in his head, and I just feel like there's a lack of incompetence. Or
I'm going to put a question to you.
Go ahead.
If you're in a profession, you're in a profession. You're an athlete, a swimmer, a basketball player, a boxer. Would you want a part-time fireman in your corner?
No, exactly.
I'm just. I want a guy that lives, eats, sleeps, walks, talks, boxing.
Exactly.
Yep. I don't want an MMA guy in my corner.
No, sir.
All right? MMA and boxing are two different entities.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want a guy in there telling me to throw a front kick or a roundhouse punch. I want a guy that eats, sleeps, walks, talks, boxing.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be some conflict, with a guy straddling the fence. I'm sure Don House would bear to differ with me,
I'm sure he would.
I'm sure he would bear to differ with me. But like you said, he has a reputation for being an MMA trainer.
Mm-hmm.
And
some vital things that were missing in that fight last night that should have been corrected at the very beginning of the fight.
Right.
Number one, Huck was standing there in front of this guy. He was inviting this guy. This guy was hitting him in the body all night with straight left hands. And they were, those weren't dilly-dally left hands. Those were straight left hands, that the kind that saps you of energy in the late rounds.
Mm-hmm.
I would have told my guy in the very first few rounds, stop the guy from hitting you with that left hand. Take away the speed of the left hand. Step back.
For a start, take a step to his left. He should have done. He should have took a step to
Pardon me?
He should have took a step to his left for a start instead of pulling out all the time.
Well, he could take a step to the left, a step to the right, step back, anything, but just don't let him land the left hand.
Yeah.
Whatever adjustment that's available to you, that's the one that you use to avoid getting hit with the left hand. Yeah. Because sooner or later it's going to drain you of energy. As you saw, Michael Huck was backing out all night with his hands down.
Mm-hmm.
Keep your damn hands up. Boxing is about defense as much as it is about offense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He was trying to use his reflexes, and it just didn't work.
You was trying to do what?
He was trying to use his reflexes, wasn't he?
Huck was throwing some good combinations.
Yeah, he was.
But the fact of the matter, when he threw the combinations, he didn't slide off to the right. He didn't slide off to the left. He stayed right where he was.
Yeah.
He threw the combinations, and he'd be in the same place when those combinations went. Wise trainers are going to see those kind of deficiencies, and they're going to attack it.
Yeah.
They're going to have their charge to attack it. After he threw those combinations, he did not move. He was in the same place, thereby making himself available for the counter punches of Glowacki.
Yeah. But if the trainers don't see it, then there's not much they can do. It's like, you know who was a bad trainer? And it's going to sound bad to say this, but Joe Frazier was a terrible trainer.
Joe Frazier? Really?
Yeah, he was, man. I saw him when he was in the corner with Bone Crusher Smith against
Joe Frazier wasn't a trainer. Joe Frazier wasn't a trainer. Joe Frazier was somebody that was moonlighting as a trainer.
Oh, man.
Yes,
This
indeed.
shit is hardcore.
He was.
You guys are terrible. Bootlighting.
Yeah. Like, I see him fighting Bone Crusher Smith. When he was fighting Bone Crusher Smith.
No, I see it all the time. See it all the time. I was training Marius Huck.
Yeah.
I trained him for about six weeks. And one of the other guys from Poland came in and started, I came in the gym one morning and this guy from Poland had arrived and he was giving Marius Huck directions. So I called the meeting and I said, well, what are we doing here? And the brain trust of Marius Huck said, well, we all need to try to work together. I said, wait a minute. We all can't work together. He said, well, why can't we? I said, because you got me in here with a guy that's 33 years old, and I'm 64 years old. This guy, I was a boxer, been a trainer all of these years. This guy is just becoming a trainer, and you're telling me that I got to go back and nursemaid this guy. He said, what do you mean nursemaid? I said, because the guy don't know what the hell he's doing. He's doing what he thinks is right. He's doing what he did as a boxer. In plain simple words, making the transition from boxing to being a trainer is not quite as easy as it might seem. The people in the listening audience might think that, heck, this guy's been a boxer, so why can't he be a trainer? Mm-hmm. It doesn't work like that. One of them is one entity, and the other is quite a different entity. So you have to take them in stride as they come. But it's not that easy to make that transition. No, I thought Joe Frazier was a terrible trainer.
Yeah, he was.
As I do with most fathers that's trainers. Just check around.
It's like I see.
Check around.
I see him when he was he had Bone Crusher Smith in his corner.
Check around the sport. Just close your eyes, sit back, and check around the sport. Think about the father trainers over the past 30 years.
Yeah.
Tito Trinidad's father is what? He's a one-trick pony.
Yeah. Joe Calzaghe's
right?
dad. Enzo Calzaghe, one-trick
Joe
pony.
Calzaghe's. Yeah.
Yeah.
Most of these guys can train their sons. Angel Garcia.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Most of these guys are one-trick ponies. They may think that they're greater than that, but the fans, whom I have great respect for because they have great vision, the fans usually know more about sports than the people that's involved in the sport.
Yep.
So you can't put much stock in that stuff. No, I don't think Joe Frazier was a good trainer at all.
No, he wasn't.
Because he tried to make everybody fight the way he fought.
Yep. And his technical advice.
So, no.
Hey, let's change it a bit. Yeah, let's talk about. So your Charles Alexander Usyk. How would he fight Christoph, or how would he fight Huck? I don't know if they're gonna rematch or whatever. So he's the number one. The way you think. Actually, let me ask you a quick question. When do you think he's gonna be fighting? When do you think you'll be in the ring to fight him? Right.
Well, we've got to fight. We've got to fight here in Kiev, Ukraine.
Okay.
And we're going to fight here on the 29th of August. And then we'll see what the organization mandate is. I know that
he's the one contender. Alexander Usyk. For the people listening, we talk about Alexander Usyk, the cruiserweight, number one cruiserweight contender. So
out of Ukraine.
Out of Ukraine, for the people listening, he's the number one contender.
The Olympic gold medalist for 2012 was Alexander Usyk.
There you go.
And he's the number one contender.
Yeah.
And I feel that the fight will take place somewhere probably January, February, perhaps. You never can tell with the governing bodies. You never can tell. But I know that we're the number one contender.
I think he's got an excellent chance of beating Christoph. And look, I think if he shot before Christoph, I think he would have beat him as well. I think Marco Huck was on the verge of him, because you know what? I think they've been cherry. I'm not trying to say they've been cherry picked because he's been fighting in hard, but maybe he came to the end of the road. But it looked like his toughness. You know, Marco, they know him for toughness. I mean, he went toe to toe with Adamic. This guy's a tough dude, man.
Povetkin,
you know?
Povetkin.
Povetkin's.
Yeah.
Povetkin, yeah, you're right, Povetkin. He's a tough dude, so maybe all that stuff. Did he look like he had the stuff wore him, or I don't know? What you guys? I don't know. What's your take?
Well, again, we don't know what he did to make the weight. That's the one thing that people seem to overlook. We don't know what he had to go through to make the 200-pound limit.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that could have took some of the starch out of him. It was a tough pace. It was a tough pace for both guys, and both of them were tired. But that the corner would have told him that you were ahead on the points, to stay clear of this guy's punching power, because this guy's trying to land something. This guy needs to land something significant to win the fight by knockout. So my instruction to my guy is, hey, we've got the fight won. Let's box the guy and try to get to the finish line. But Huck was there making himself available and then pulling out his hands down. So he it was like a candy store. He just put the jar there and said, take what you want.
In all truth, though, he was inactive for nearly a year. And in his last fight, before he lost the title against Ligurti, it looked like he lost that fight to me. Although it looked like he stopped him in the last round, but it's officially a points win. So the inactivity and bad form in the last fight before this one, it could have been that it was just a case it was on the cards.
Yeah, could have been. Could have. Johnny, hey, I tell you what, if Johnny Nelson had that title shot against Marco Huck, Johnny Nelson might have beat him, you know? No. Johnny Nelson, that performance of Marco, Johnny Nelson might have beat him, you know?
No, you don't get it.
Johnny Nelson better sit his old behind down.
Yeah, exactly. The plastic hip. You got a plastic hip. It's time.
Before he wound up in a wheelchair. Johnny Nelson, man. Johnny Nelson's a nice guy. But don't come out here with that foolish stuff, man, with a guy like Marco Huck.
Marco
Huck is a tough dude.
Yeah. He's
a tough dude. He got a tough mentality.
Punch him once in that plastic hip and that replay. Couple of shots around there, and let's see what he's saying after that. The 40, nearly 50-year-old body getting punched in, because he's got a replacement hip. You got in your nearly 50 replacement hip. No business being in the ring at this level. None at all.
Mm-hmm. Okay, hey, so let's talk about Tarver now. Go back onto the top thing. So talking about old people. In my opinion, I think Tarver pulled it out by a round, you know. I think Steve brought the energy in the early rounds, definitely was the winning the fight. But Tarver was like clean up, more accurate punches. Not nothing, but it was taking his time on Steve. I think Steve may have 31, but what's your take on that fight, Mr. Tarver? I know you didn't want to talk too much about it, but what's your take on that fight?
If I had to give a nod, I would have given the Tarver by a round. I think I would give it to Tarver. I thought that Tarver, but again, Stevie was throwing volume and Tarver was throwing the hardest shots, so it was very difficult. It was a scorer, you know, scoring. The judges' jobs was very difficult.
Yeah, I got some people questions in the chat. Sean Newton over there said Huck lost on the road. They will be a rematch in Germany. That's what he's saying. Fair Shake Boxing. If Huck would have had Usyk instead of Sorry, if you would have had who's trainer? 1 minute, Beats. I'm getting some feedback there, Beats.
I've got nothing switched on at all. So.
It's kind of thing, man. If you would have had, is it Usyk instead of Don Hauser? Who's this guy? I know you're talking about. Instead of Don Hauser, do you think of? I think he's talking about you, Ali. I think he's talking about you. So if he had you instead of Don Hauser, how you think would have had a better chance because he was fighting like a counter puncher when he uses his lead. So he's saying if you was in the corner, would you have done better than Don Hauser? Fair Shake Boxing's question to you.
I would have had him doing more boxing. I would have had him stay out of the way of those big punches early because he was taking a lot of big punches early. Mm-hmm. He was just giving away the early rounds by standing there. You know, there was no scientific moves there. There was no scientific boxing moves there. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I would have had him moving. My thing is as a trainer, I like to think of myself as a teacher. You know, not just a guy out there with a, you know, everybody always alludes to the fact that the guy is a puncher. The cruiserweight division is a minefield full with punches. One click and you're out of there. So yeah, you've got to bring something different to the table, such as boxing skills. And this is what I'm teaching Alexander Usyk, and everybody will see, you know, the kind of boxing skills that he'll display in any fight against anybody.
You guys continue talking. Continue talking. Go ahead, Beats.
I had Cunningham winning the fight just on productivity. There was times when Tava was just holding on. He was gassing. Like when he was setting to throw his punches, he was falling off balance, old legs, old boxer syndrome. I had Tava winning by a few rounds, you know. But inside, I can see why it was given a draw because a lot of his actual punches weren't accurate. It was scrappy. He was just throwing a lot of shots, and you know they don't look like a lot of clean connects. So I can see why other people swaying for Tava, but I found it hard to give Tava that fight. Although he did hurt Steve. He did hurt Steve. I don't think any of them can beat Klitschko. That's ridiculous.
Or Wilder.
Yeah. I heard people saying Tava can beat Wilder, and I was just saying, wow, okay.
Not that tall. That tall we got knocked out.
I don't see any of them getting through a fight with Wilder and getting the W. I don't see that happening.
I think Tava's motive is to take Wilder into some rounds, you know, and try to land a punch. You know, because the knock on I think that the knock on Wilder's chin. So he's going to try to, you know, land some rounds, you know. I mean, he's going to try to take him some rounds and land some shots.
I don't like the low productivity against someone with a good jab. Like Wilder's got a strong jab, so you know I don't like it. I see any of them getting knocked out if they fight anybody with a belt. Probably getting knocked out at this stage. I think Tava can be taken late because if he's going to look to take Wilder rounds, he's got to not be tired himself, and he was tired. And you know, Steve wasn't throwing concussive shots or working the body for him to get tired like that. He was just getting tired just from standing up. So I don't know what future he has or Cunningham.
Well, one thing is that punches is something to be respected. But if you're a good boxer, if you're strict to the rule where you.
Mr. Bashir, you sound far away from the mic. You sound far away from the mic over there. So I know you must move side.
You hear me?
Yeah, that's much better. Thank you. Go ahead.
One thing is that attention to punches. You know, I mean, you don't see a lot of a good counter puncher after the defense. You know, this is missing from boxing. You know, it's missing. Nobody is there to make people pay attention to those things. You know, that's one of the things that's the rule that's making boxing look bad, because you just got guys out there that win a title, and after they win a title, they lose a title.
Fair Shake Boxing in the chat, he said the trainer of Marco was left in Germany for some reason. His name, I don't know, his name is is it Uli? Whatever his name is.
Uli Wagner, I know him.
He said his trainer was left in Germany for some reason. Back in Germany, so they took Don Hauser. But I think they would have probably done a better job. But I don't know why he was left in a thing. So I'm not too sure.
Nah. Trainers, I mean, I think now in boxing, trainers are overrated. And I'll say it again, trainers are overrated. The boxer got to go out there and win the fight. Marco Huck has a vast amount of experience. He knows what must be done. He knows how to do it. He knows how to apply it. He's got to take a lot of the blame himself. I think that the training aspect out here, I look on the internet, all I see is the trainer this, the trainer that, the trainer said this, the trainer said that. The trainer is not the one taking those punches. The trainers is not the one that's taking those punches. Those trainers is not the one that's doing the road work, who's doing all those rounds of sparring. So I think that the training aspect is a bit overrated. And people need to get off of that and start looking more to the boxers, because after a certain amount of time, then the boxers themselves got to account for what's going on in that ring. When that kid got knocked down last night, Glowacki, when he got knocked down, wasn't no one could be able to help him.
That's true.
He had to help himself. He had to make his mind right then and there. Do I want to stay in this fight or do I want to quit? And believe me, for those people who have not been out there in that ring, those people who have not had those 8 and 10 ounce wells on and been hit on the chin and hit on the temple, believe me, that's a hell of a dilemma to have to deal with. All right? If you've never been there, it's a hell of a... People can either say, oh, he should have got up, or he should have did this, or he should have did... You got split seconds to decide, damn, do I want to stay in this fight? Do I want to continue the fight? You can't teach that kind of stuff.
Yeah. That's what people... I was saying that in a video. People don't... In boxing, you don't have a lot of time to get it right, because by the time you're figuring stuff out you should have worked out in the gym, you're knocked out. Like David Price against that guy. He didn't get no time to settle in the fight and say, okay, I'll make the adjustments. Like, that Teeper guy just took him out. He didn't get no chance at all. You know? Horrible.
Yeah, you're right about that, Mr. Bashir, man. You're right on the exact about that, man.
No, it takes a lot. I'm telling you, it takes a lot. It takes a lot of heart, a lot of mind power, a lot of guts. It takes a lot. It's easy for us to sit outside of those ropes and say, oh, you should have did this or you could have did that. But, man, you got split seconds. And in those split seconds, mind you, you've got to clear your head. You know, you don't know what's really going on around you. You don't know where your legs are. You got to deal with all of these things at one time and come back fighting. So,
Mr. Bashir,
sorry. Huh?
No, I was just going to ask you about David Price. What do you think happened to David Price, and what's the future?
When you out there David Price future is?
Yeah.
He should become a shoe salesman.
Whoa. You don't think he's got a career in boxing, no?
If this guy does not go out and get himself a solid trainer to teach him the art of foot movement and defense, he's done.
Yeah.
One thing about a champion has got to be able to take constructive criticism. David Price's career is in the basement right now. I mean, basically, his career is in the basement. He was knocked out by who?
The European champion.
Okay, who was that?
Well, it was the vacant title. He wasn't actually a champion.
Yeah.
Title.
Yeah, but y'all keep saying it was a vacant title and this now. Who is it? Who is it that knocked him out?
But that's what the guy made his name now. The guy made his name now. He gonna make his
Well,
name.
who is the guy?
He was unbeaten. He was unbeaten. He was unbeaten.
That was-
And like he broke Martin Rogan's jaw in 2 places. He can punch a little. He's not. I'm not saying he's the best, but he's not the worst. I don't think he's the worst either.
Yeah. He ain't. Well, I don't know. Well,
Did you ever tell me? But did you ever tell me his name?
Tifa.
Who?
Tifa.
Okay, the point that I'm making is that it took us all of this time to find out that guy's name. It took me about 5 minutes for y'all guys to tell me what his name was. To show you.
Oh yeah, okay. Go ahead, Mr. Bashir. Go ahead.
To show you the level of what we're dealing with here. All right? This guy knocked out David Price. We can remember Price's name, but this guy knocked out, we can't even get his name. It would probably take me I'd have to take some college to remember this guy's name. All right? I'd have to take a college course to remember his name.
Yeah.
Because nobody else can remember it. So why should I remember it?
See, once again, Price is one of them guys, Mr. Bashir. Yeah, he had Franny Smith. Then he went to Tommy Brooks. Then he went to Germany. Went here. So sometimes people have to realize you can change coach, change gym, you can change this, but if you're not right in yourself, none of that means nothing. You've got to want it. You've got to make situations work rather than keep changing them.
David Price, if he wants to try, will have to get himself a trainer that he can adapt to. Because if you remember, Latimer and Vitaly Klitschko, they traveled around too from trainer to trainer when they were starting out. They had a trainer here, they tried a lot of trainers before they settled on, particular trainers to guide their careers. Fritz Stunek and Emmanuel Stewart. But they took them because they felt comfortable with them,
Yep.
Go ahead, Mr. Bashir.
Made them. They took them because it made them comfortable.
Yeah. Yep. So you're basically saying it's over. It's over for him right now. You don't see no way.
Yeah, basically.
shoe.
Yeah, basically, shoes. I'm saying yeah.
Wow. Yeah, it's a hard life though.
Basically,
yeah. Yeah, I guess so. It doesn't look good. Like
Well, so Mr. Bashir, how do you? So Alexander Usyk versus back onto the cruiserweight again. How do you think he'll fight him? Because you know what, this guy seemed like he's got good skills. I didn't even heard of him before this fight. We had a debate prediction night on Wednesday, and a guy on there called T. He really done some research on this dude. Have you done any research on this Gowaki? And how would you implement your game plan to fight him? Because he seems very tricky, and he got fresh legs. I mean, how would Usyk go about trying to fight this dude or break him down? You ain't gonna give your game plan away, but give us some inclination of how you're gonna try and beat Usyk, trying to take the world belt away from this kid. He seemed tough, come off the floor to come against Marco Huck, so he seemed pretty tough. Mr. Bashir?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Yeah, how do you think? How do you think it'll go?
What is that?
How you think? Usyk's gonna go against Christoph, because Gowaki. What do you think the strategy would be? Because Usyk can box, he can fight inside, outside. How game plan? What kind of? Me being the trainer that I am, I always expect a tough fight. I always expect a tough guy. I don't care what the press says. I don't care what the boxing circle says. I always anticipate a tough fight because one punch changes the outlook of a fight. What seems like an easy fight on paper, one shot can make it a mountain to climb. So, I expect a tough fight from this
Glowacki. I expect a tough fight from him, but I expect young Usyk to rise up and beat him for that title. You know, I don't know how the fight would end, but I know it would be a far different fight than Glowacki versus Marco Huck.
Whoa, boy. Well, you know, Usyk's got the pedigree, everything like that, man. The fight's gonna be good, man. You know,
I'm teaching boxing, man. I'm teaching boxing. I don't want people to get misconstrued about anything. I'm teaching how to box.
Yeah.
Well, he will not find a willing participant in a slugfest the way that him and Marco Huck had. That's not what I'm teaching. That's not what I'm asking for.
Okay, hit and not be hit, of course. This is the sweet science, right? Yeah.
It's the sweet science. I mean, we're gonna fight, but we're gonna fight on our terms, not on his terms.
Yeah, for real. Well, that was the big debate of the YTBC. And so let me ask you this question about the PBC model so far. With this obviously this Hook and this Crystal fight, and you know, Bute fought yesterday. What do you think so far with Al Heyman and the PBC doing the fight? Now he's just recently got Fox as well. What's your take on the PBC thing? Does it remind you of back in the days in the 90s where boxing was on TV, or 80s when boxing was on TV? What's your take on the PBC Al Heyman model?
It's good for the sport. I'll sum it up just like that. It's good for the sport because it gives other fighters visibility, and the people don't have to go in their pockets, you know, to pay for that stuff.
Exactly. Okay.
So why do you think he's getting such a negative reaction from so many people dissatisfied?
Pardon me?
He's getting quite a negative reaction though. Why do you think that is though, Al Heyman?
How is that?
Yeah, a lot of people are negative about it, about the PBC. He's got a lot of detractors complaining about the fights ain't good enough. He's not providing good value, such and such.
Was the fight last night good value, you think?
I thought it was.
A class, man. That was A class yesterday night, bro.
I mean, what do you want? I mean, what do they want? I think Al Heyman is doing a good job.
That's what
I think Al Heyman is doing a good job. First of all, he's the one that got it back on network television. That in itself is a good job.
Yeah.
Yep.
That stuff deserves some credit. You paying $65 and $75 for a pay-per-view fight, and nobody shows up to fight.
It's true.
It was like Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather showed up with a lunchbox, put the money in the lunchbox, went outside the back of the warehouse. Okay, Manny, I'll see you next time. Okay, Floyd, have a nice night, and go home. And the fans are still scratching in their head saying, what happened?
Yep. And
nothing.
Yeah. And when you think about it, like HBO are going to make Lemieux and Triple G pay-per-view, which I ain't got a problem with. I think it can justify it. But we got DeGale and Darrell for free, and I think that's just as good a lineup as that, you know. It was Cotto and Canelo.
They waxing us. I'm not buying for pay-per-view. I'm done with that.
Okay, so what do you think of Canelo and Cotto? That's pay-per-view on the card. I don't know if you know about Brian Valora and Chocolito. Do you think that's a pay-per-view card, and you think people should pay for it? But you said it already.
I'm not paying for that. I'm not paying for it.
What's your take of the fight?
Why won't you pay for it?
Yeah, what's your take on the fight, Mr. Bashir?
You got a good in Cotto. You got a good little guy, a good little old guy, fighting Canelo, a big young guy. I don't expect Cotto to do that well in that fight.
That's what I said.
Whatever he does in that fight, he'll do it without my money. Because I'm not paying for that.
What, in your opinion, you don't think it's going to be competitive?
It'll be competitive for a couple of rounds to Canelo start hitting on him.
Mr. Bashir, Oscar De La Hoya said it's going to be the biggest fight in boxing history. That's what he said.
What?
Oscar De La Hoya said it's going to be the biggest fight in boxing history.
Yep, he said it's going to be bigger than the Floyd and Pacquiao fight.
The biggest fight in boxing history.
Quite possibly both of them Latino fighters.
Yeah. Wow. You think?
Both of them are Latino fighters.
Yep.
So yeah, it might just be. It might just be.
Wow.
But who's the promoter for that fight?
Golden Boy.
Golden
Who's
Boy.
the?
Golden Boy.
Say it again.
Golden Boy.
Oscar.
Oscar.
Yeah, Golden Boy.
Who's the one that said that's going to be the biggest fight in history?
Oscar.
Golden Boy.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay.
It's a good point, Mr. Bashir.
And I'm going right back to it. They have to do it without my money.
All right, sorry. Let me. Actually, I got it wrong. It was that. Not. Do you think that's pay per view? I think that's pay per view. Let me go back. Triple G versus David Lemieux, and on the undercard you have Brian Valora versus Chocolito. Now that model, do you know who Brian Valora and Chocolito are? The flyweights. Do you know who they are?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
All right, so that's gonna be a good match. And then so David Lemieux, the IBF champion, versus Triple G, WBA champion. Do you think that's worth paying for? And do you think that's gonna be a competitive fight, in your opinion?
I think that's going to be a very competitive fight for about 3 rounds.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Who you got winning that fight, bro? Mr. Bashir?
We might get another Hearns Leonard. We might get another Hearns Hagler in that fight.
Well, yeah, most possible could be.
We might get another Hearns Hagler in that fight.
You never know.
I'm telling you. You know, with 2 dangerous punches. You believe that he got a chance to get Triple G, so you never can tell. But I don't think he goes past 5 rounds.
But you're not going to pay for it, though.
I'm not paying for nothing. The jury's out on me.
Hey, people in the Go ahead, Mr. Bashir. Go ahead, sorry.
I work very hard for my money, man.
Hey, people in the comment section, listening to this, yeah? You got Mr. Ali Bashir, Klitschko's assistant trainer, and also the head trainer of Alexander Usyk, the prospect, the cruiserweight prospect, next in line for the WBO. You got any questions? You put your questions in the chat right now, and we'll read them out, right? So, go ahead, Beats and Mr. Usyk, go ahead. Beats, got a question for Mr. Usyk?
No.
Mr. Bashir.
I've got to go in a minute, actually. I've got to duck out of here in a minute.
Okay, cool, man. Well, yeah,
Yo,
man.
Mr. Bashir, it was great catching up with you again, man. It was great catching up with you.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I love it, man.
As always.
Boxing is my life, and I love it.
Okay.
No doubt.
EJ?
I think that Lemieux
All right, Beats.
and Triple G, I think that's a short fight. A very explosive fight, though. Oh, shit. Oh, I got to go.
Yeah, me too.
I got to go.
All right, guys, man. All right.
Boxing. I got to take my boxing running right now.